how would you say the expropriation bill and mismanagement of the transport and power sector, what effect will that have on South Africa's ability to produce agricultural products?
The land issue is a very emotive and very polarizing one. So there is a history attached to the land question, which I do think gets exploited every time we get to an election. It is very important, I think, to have some perspective. Our constitution has always enabled the ANC to achieve land redistribution, restitution, and tenure. The ANC has not used the provisions of the Constitution. However, it is also important to not create an impression of a rogue ANC that is about to expropriate land without compensation. That has not happened. If you go to South Africa today, you don't have a Zimbabwe situation of forced removals and so on. The ANC government, whatever its fault, has actually respected the rights of landowners. Many years ago, there was a willing buyer, willing seller, where redistribution and restitution could happen in a negotiated conversation with the landowners, who, of course, if we look historically, Black people would say those are not the legitimate landowners. But post-1994, there was no one-upmanship or trying to force landowners off their land. It has not happened. Even now, when you look at what the ANC government is talking about, it is expropriation without compensation where it can be justified. That's what it says. It's talking about abandoned land, abandoned buildings, underused land. So I'm just saying that the conversation gets heated in the build-up to the election, and it is something that the EFF has brought on the table. But from the government's point of view, there has always been a negotiation on the land issue.
There are many challenges in South Africa in the agricultural sector, including climate change, which, as we've seen just recently in the Western Cape, with massive storms that have flooded many agricultural areas, and that means that this year's crops will probably be on the decline. South Africa has among the least competitive ports in the world. And not only does it impact South Africa's ability to export products, it also impacts the neighboring countries' ability because they primarily use South African ports. The rail infrastructure and the road infrastructure are visibly declining on a yearly basis. Road and rail backups have snarled trade and have made it very, very uncompetitive to transport commodities, not only within Africa, but of course to the United States.
How can we expand and increase our role in trade with South Africa? South Africa, as has been stated, is the shining light for the African continent.
South Africa, as we've stated here, is going to have to make itself a lot more competitive, and one of the areas that it can make itself more competitive is by improving its infrastructure. And you know what? It's not going to be done by the government. It's going to have to be done with private sector initiative and private sector capital. The U.S. has tools of private sector capital that can be brought in and perhaps mitigated with U.S. government assistance, such as the Development Finance Corporation, U.S. Export-Import Bank, and we can help South Africa partner with South African institutions and investors to try to improve efficiency of South Africa. Also, I think there's a lot more that we can be done in technology transfer, whether it be in the development of agricultural technology exchanges, whether it be in the new areas of information technology where the U.S. has special advantages. Yesterday, I was with the chairman and CEO of MTN Bank, MTN Telecom System, the largest in Africa, and they use about 95% of their important circuitry and intelligence of their system is not made up of Chinese technology, but it's made up of U.S. and European technology. So we can continue to be a player in technology transfer, and we can continue to be a partner in developing capital that will help make South Africa more competitive.